Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Luis. I'm a third-year medical student from the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health, and welcome to Med School Deep Dive, where I interview different medical students from different med schools around the Philippines about their experiences of being a student in their respective med school. But before we start this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really does support the channel. And with that out of the way, let's start the video.
Hey guys, now I'm joined by Clyde of the YouTube channel DearDok. So Clyde, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Clyde Casisan. I'm a second-year medical student from Davao Medical School Foundation, and my undergrad's Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Science.
So Clyde, to kick things off, why did you decide to attend DMSF for your medical education?
Originally, it was more of a family factor
Mm-hmm.
because my parents didn't want me to leave Davao City. I was planning to apply for a med school in Cebu City, but unfortunately, they don't want me to leave Davao. So
Mm-hmm.
I was left with no choice but to, choose a school here from Davao. And since DMSF was one of the oldest med school here in Mindanao, and they built their reputation through the years, so I think that's one of the factor why I chose them. And also, most of my friends, kasi they are also choosing DMSF. So yeah.
Mm. I guess it's just when you're in med school, like it's easier. I guess it's easier naman when you have your friends around. And I think that's a lot of
Yes, yes.
that's a huge contributing factor to why a lot of my friends chose their med schools too, especially like with those who went to like UERM a lot. Like since I'm from UP, maraming po from UP pumunta sa UERM. So that's a big contributing factor why a lot of
Mm-mm.
my friends decide to go there. So so what was it like being a student at DMSF? What's the curriculum at your school like?
We're more of a subject based. The lectures are traditional, but we also have like problem-based learnings like SGDs, TBLs. So, but in general, it's more traditional.
Mm. So
Like we have,
it's like the traditional. There's a subject for anatomy, subject for physiology.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So given that, it's like, how's your exam schedule look like? Because I think with most of the traditional schools, you have like a exact. Most traditional schools have a like regular like exam week every month or so. Parang ganyan. Is it the same with you
Yes,
guys?
actually, the faculty made some arrangements with that one. During orientation, the doctors mentioned something about the learning curve, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that explains the weekly evaluations that we have, aside from the major term exams that we have. So like every week, meron kaming schedule for every subject. Like we do evaluation exams every week, aside from those major exams.
Mm. But like, but it still weighs more heavily towards the major exams that you have like at for a
Yes,
certain period of every month. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
so on top of that is like what's the like how early do you guys start learning clinical skills? Because like one thing that I've noticed with different medical schools, like among the students I've interviewed, is that the schools differ the philosophy when they start teaching the clinical skills. So like do you guys start learning as early as first year, or are you like most schools that started more in second year?
Well, the faculty actually tries to incorporate the clinical during first year and second year, but the patient encounter talaga is during third year na,
Mm.
during their clerkship.
So how's that like? Parang first year, second year is like, first year is parang like history PE history taking.
It's on our second year actually
Okay,
during ano.
so what did they so in terms of clinical skills, what did they try to teach you to give you like at least a taste of it during first year? Or is it more talaga in second year did they give you the first taste of clinical experience?
Um, Majority sa second year po talaga. Right now we're actually doing it. So
Okay, so how's the experience like, right? For you to be learning the clinical skills, especially like now that it's online.
actually it's a little bit difficult for us because if wala sanang pandemic, we were supposed to be um the doctors are supposed to teach us personally. But right now, since it's online, we have to double our efforts and also try to um, understand it on our own because there's no one to guide us. So I find it a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I'd have to agree because like even with me, kaya like I've been learning critical skills since like first year because that's the way the curriculum in my school is structured. It's like it's really hard to
Mm-mm.
practice those skills kung wala kang immediate feedback in like doing it
Yes.
on a patient because like you don't like you won't know until like you receive comments like from after submission like a few weeks later, and it's like it's really hard to practice it. And like if for me it's important that you like when you practice it you get immediate feedback or you don't maintain the bad habits that you
Yes.
develop.
Actually, sa amin kasi we do return demos, but
Mm-hmm.
yun nga, whenever for example, we take history for the patient, we record ourselves, and then we interview, for example, dummy patients. So we have to wait for I think a day or two before the feedback would come to us. So it's really difficult.
Yeah. So like as you said, your school has like a very traditional curriculum. So like, would you say that the philosophy of the school is like very lectured based rather than, or do they offer you like some freedom in like in other routes of self directed learning?
Yes, actually, aside from those lectures, we also have SGDs and TBS. Uh, in fish during first year, we actually have those SGDs for official and for biochemistry, and then on anatomy we have clinical cases. So yun.
Okay. So, beyond just like the classroom learning, does the school like ever offer you guys like opportunities to like expand your learning, such as like doing like helping profs with research, their own clinical research, or perhaps like once you're in clerkship, you're allowed to take electives abroad. Does the school offer you those kinds of opportunities?
I asked my seniors about these electives, and then sabi nila wala daw, hindi nag-offer ng
Mm-hmm.
this one. As for the research assistant jobs, I'm not pretty sure if the school offers this one.
With like obviously the shift to online learning due to the pandemic, what are the challenges you've faced in the shift to this setup? Obviously, like coming from our what we're used to being face to face.
I guess the most challenging part is that you're at home, so you're in lax mode. It's very difficult to focus on studying when there's a lot of distraction. So sometimes I lose my motivation to study because it's I'm my mindset is like I'm at home. I should be relaxing instead of studying. Um, uh, Aside from that, there's also some times where it's very difficult to cope up with the lessons because you don't have peers who would help you to discuss the topics that you were supposed to like talk with your friends. Because for me, one way of learning is that I discuss the whenever I find a topic that is very difficult for me to understand, I try to talk it out with my friends, and then they help me to understand that a certain topic. So right
Mm-hmm.
now, since it's online, I don't have uh, we don't get to really communicate a lot because with the online school you're always available kasi, so the doctors would always either send you some activities kasi you're always there, so
Mm-hmm.
like most of your time is being consumed.
Yeah, it's like I'd have to agree that that's one thing that I've also like had a hard time. Like it's just that there's just a huge bombardment of requirements with the
Yes.
shift to online classes. And you think that being at home you'd have more time, but actually it's like it feels that you have less time pa. So
Yes.
what are some things that you've done to like try to overcome these challenges? You've mentioned like you've sometimes you felt lacking motivation to do your schoolwork. So what are some of the things you do to try to overcome that slump?
Right now, I'm trying to fix it. So I'm trying to make a schedule of the things that I need to accomplish throughout the day. And then I try as much as possible to really stick to that schedule so that I would not lose track. Kasi once I have my backlogs, I have this, ano kasi, I have this mindset na kapag nagtatambak na yung mga backlogs, mawawalan talaga ng gana. So I suddenly lose motivation to study because there's a lot of work na and it's piling up and I think that I can't do it anymore. So as much as possible, I try to discipline myself and I try to follow the schedule that I plotted for myself.
Mm. It's like I have to agree with that because like that's something I think that I I try to do also every day. Like do little by little para I don't like I don't end up with a huge backlog, and it's something I think I found effective once when the pandemic started earlier on because I think when schools still didn't know how to they still know the full like gravity of the situation. I think like what a lot of schools did is that they just um, gave us everything at once, and then it's like kind of at least for my school they gave us everything at once, and then kind of left us to our own devices to parang finish it. Pero my deadline, pero it's still like parang afar. Parang like they gave it all. It was in April, tapos the deadline was in June. So kami na bahala to finish it by then. It's like me is like I tried to do I think little by little every day para hindi ako magka-cram towards the end. And I think that's
Yes.
a super useful habit to have, especially now once since now they kind of uh, finalized the whole online school thing for first semester at least. Okay, so having studied in medical school for more than a year now, like you're on your second year, do you have any advice for medical students who would be incoming first year students, or and any advice for medical students in general?
Yes. There's two things that I would like to point out. First is that do not compare yourselves with others. Because in med school, you're going to meet a lot of brilliant people, and there will really come a time where you will feel pressured. You may start thinking that you do not belong to this group because a lot of people are very smart. A lot of people are very competitive. So just do not be hard on yourself. Trust yourself. The fact that you entered med school and you got accepted to a med school, it already explains that you have an edge and you can actually accomplish this one. Second is that you should make an effort to make friends talaga, because friends really will help you in medical school. And I think there's no better person than the one who could understand your struggles.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on those because like once you get into med school, like first you have to be smart to get into med school. So like the baseline
Yes.
intelligence for anyone in med school is smart. So there can only be smart, smarter, and even like smartest amongst your peers, diba? So like I think we shouldn't
Yes.
feel so bad whenever we're like not the top in any exam. Because like
Yes.
you should be scared now if you if you consider if there are like people who are, you don't consider that smart in med school. But anyway, that's not the point. But I think like in comparing yourself to others is like super it's important not to compare yourself to others. Because apparently you're just gonna feel down because like you
Yeah.
can't control naman diba how other people perform. It's like what you can control is how hard you work, and I think like as long as you focus on what you do, that's gonna like do very well for like your overall well-being in med school, and like your especially for your mental health, because if you're not constantly comparing yourself to others. And then like going to what you said about making a lot of friends, I find that's also really important because to have that like that social safety net in med school, because like med school is like a very stressful environment to be in, even though that because we have to study so hard. There's a lot of things to learn, and there's so many requirements to accomplish, especially now with all of us being kind of isolated in our homes. I think like
Yes.
having that social safety net of like group of people who understand where you're coming from, and you can like who you can go to just like rant or vent out your emotions. It's like also very important to maintaining our mental health while in med school. So, besides like student academic life in Davao Medical School Foundation, how would you describe like the campus culture of your school? Like, how is it? How is it like to be a part of the student body?
What you expect from a typical medical student, always puyat, walang tulog.
Hmm.
I
It's like
really can't explain it. It's really hard to.
also like from is the student body of your school like mostly people from within your the local regions, or like is it you have a
Yes.
mix? Okay, so like but because in obviously here in the Luzon medical schools, obviously most of the people are from Luzon, but there are some people who come from like Mindanao and Visayas. But is that similar in your
Mm-mm.
case where majority is from the local regions and then you still have some students who come from like from Luzon?
Majority of the students are from local regions, but we do have students coming from Luzon and Visayas.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we also have international students here, but they are being separated from us. So, like,
Mm,
we work for the Filipino medical students. We are called the NMD, or the National Medical Students, and then um, for the IMD, or the International Medical Students, they have separate curriculum actually.
well, that's quite interesting because like the international students at my school, they're integrated, they're mixed in with us. So parang same curriculum for everyone, whether like they're
Mm-mm.
graduates from like US from like who came from the US, or they came from Canada, or like they came from like or any college abroad. They still take the same curriculum as the rest of us. So that's quite interesting. You got your school has a separate uh, track for students who are from other schools.
Yes, but we have actually a classmate during first year. She's a half Singaporean, but she
Mm-hmm.
chose to enroll to NMD instead
Mm-hmm.
of the IMD. So I guess they got the freedom to choose which one they would like.
Would you know like what's the difference between the national and the international program?
I really haven't asked about that one, but I think the main difference is that for the IMD, they are mostly composed of international students talaga, those who cannot really understand Filipino.
Mm, okay. So moving on. So like what are like the extracurriculars available to you? Like what are the student orgs and the different like are there like committees and like different sports teams that you can join? Because I know um that's big in some other medical schools, especially here in Luzon, now where student extracurricular life is like super important to us.
Yes. Actually, here in our school, we also have extracurricular activities. I have friends who are very active in sports. Some of them are even varsities. For the organizations, the school is also very supportive about that one. Actually, we have an organization called Criados, and they conduct medical missions and outreach programs in and outside Davao City. Um, we also have school publications, and this year, my some of my classmates were actually very active members of the student council. So
Mm,
we do also have some yeah, they are also very supportive about those extracurricular things.
okay. So do you guys have like a inter-school sports fest? Because I in the among the Luzon schools we have our Palarong Medicina, and I think Visayas has
Mm-mm.
Med Olympics. So does the Mindanao Med do the Mindanao Med schools have a similar sport event?
I'm not really sure about this one because so far what I've seen was that the students only get to play sports during intramurals, but um, yeah, I really don't think that we have those kind of inter-school fests.
Okay, so I guess because there are not as many Mindanao med schools compared to like in
Yes.
Visayas and Luzon. Having been a student of in your school for more than a year now, what's like one thing that you really liked about your school while we could still attend it, while you could still attend it physically, of course.
Maybe the library, the fact that we could use it during weekends is a very big help for us because most of the students really love studying out. And in my case, I really utilized the library a lot before COVID happened. So yeah, and I think also the people that surrounds me here is one of the reasons that I really love the school. Kasi parang ano eh, most of these students during my undergrad also attended this school, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like the same environment after all. So
Mm.
it wasn't very difficult for me to adjust.
Yeah, I find that like if you're surrounded by like the same people, and you know and then parang there is a very caring, nurturing parang environment. It's like it just relieves a lot of the stress of med school,
Yes.
and it just helps you like bear with it all. So as a follow-up question, it's like what's one thing you wish your school would add within your remaining stay as a student? As like obviously once we come back to physical classes.
Maybe ano, expansion of the library,
Mm-hmm.
because not a lot of students could really use it. Kasi nga, di ba, we have national medical students, we also have international medical students. So, hindi naman sa maliit yung library, but it really gets filled, especially during examination periods. So maybe if they could expand it a little so that more students could be accommodated.
How big is the student body? Because I can't. How big is the student body in DMSF? Because I can't imagine like how much does it take to how many students does it take to fill your library? Because I imagine it's quite already big as it is.
Um, Kasi yung batch namin right now is very big. I'm not pretty sure the about the count, the estimate overall, but for the first year last year, we were around 520, I guess.
Okay, yeah,
First
that's
years for
okay.
first
That's a
years
lot. That's a
only.
lot.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I can imagine why you'd fill up the library so quickly.
yeah.
Okay, so um, before we end this interview, guys, like, is there anything like do you have any closing message to the audience or anything you'd like to promote?
Maybe stay at home and wash your hands.
Okay, so and guys, also subscribe to Clyde's YouTube channel. And like, do you have any like
Okay.
social media that you'd also like? Do you like to also promote plug your social media?
Yes, please follow me also on my Instagram account. I'm still preparing it for the DearDok na IG talaga.
Mhm.
So, hope you follow it when it comes.
Okay, so if any of you guys are interested in checking out Clyde's Instagram or YouTube channel, I'll leave links down in the description for that. So thank you so much for your time, Clyde. I know we're both busy with med school, but thank you so much for taking the
Yeah.
time out of your schedule to have this interview.